Are we live? Are we? We're live! Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting and explicit episode of the Wrestling Exchange. It's episode 58. My name is Ted. I am your host, and I'm joined with my co-host, as always.
Oh, you didn't know? It is me, Papo, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, the T-E-double-D. Take it away.
Oh, man, Papo, it's good to have you. Listen, we got a lot of stuff to cover, so what I'd like to do is just briefly talk about a few things, just basically do our spiel, a little disclaimer, and then we can get going and talk about Raw. Plus, what we also have to do is our predictions for 2015 Battleground, as well as our allegedly award-winning segment, The Good, the Bad, and the Fugly. So first, this is a conversation between two lifelong wrestling fans. It's a passionate conversation, right, where we basically break down each week's Raw and discuss what we liked, what we didn't like, storylines, matches, so on and so forth. So basically, we're taking about a 3-hour Raw and cutting it down to about an hour. So that way, you don't have to sit through all of Raw. You can just listen to us, so we can catch you up on everything that's going on. So if you like at any point, if you enjoy anything, even if it's just mildly, please do us a favor and click the like button. It really helps us out. While you're at it, why don't you go ahead and click the subscribe button. This will let you know by email every time we put a video up. Some days it's Wednesdays, some days it's Thursdays. Papo and I are regular Joes, right? We have real jobs, therefore we aren't able to do a set time every week always. So subscribe and you'll get that link sent to an email and you'll know when it happens. Also, comment. We're going to talk about Raw, and we're going to talk about predictions for WWE Battleground 2015. So if you want, in the comments, you could either talk about your favorite segment, you could talk about your favorite match, or you could talk about the one thing you're looking forward to at WWE Battleground. You can also visit our Facebook page. That's going to be included in the link in the description box below, as well as our Patreon page. If you were considering making a donation to help us improve some of our visual production and audio production, that would greatly be appreciated. So go to the description box, clickety-clack that, go to the links, it's all there finally. If you're interested in having an email read on the show, like for example, what's your favorite WrestleMania? You have some questions you want us to discuss on air, please do so. Go to tedandpapo@gmail.com and email us your questions and we'll read it on the air. Again, that can also be found in the description box below. I did all the work for you. It's not that hard. Papo, did I cover it all?
Adult content.
Adult content.
Words.
Yes, these are things that happen here. Papo, I understand that if they're not down with that, you have 2 words for them.
Yes. Feral Occidenia. Something's happening there, Ted. Can't hear you. No.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, son of a bitch. That was obnoxious. So the word you used, adoxalagnia. Why don't you go ahead and brief the ladies and gentlemen on what that word means?
It actually means the sexual arousal of being bitten or being bit.
And that's what you should feel every week when you tune in to Ted and Papo's Wrestling Exchange.
Because we're going to bite your ass.
One last thing. Normally we do this every week. I have a little bit of an announcement. We're not going to be doing it next week because my wife is going into labor on Sunday. So my baby is going to be born Sunday, Monday-ish. So I just won't have the time to watch Raw. I'll see if they'll let me watch the pay-per-view while she's in labor at the hospital. I don't know. Maybe I can get away with that. Like while she's giving birth, I'll see the main event. I don't know. But next week just isn't going to be happening. But if you subscribe, you'll get an email notifying you when we come back the week after. Papo, we got 4-letter words. We got bad language. We got all the plugs. I think we're ready to talk about WWE Battleground, right?
Right. So let's get balls deep in tonight's show.
So what's going to happen is, just as a reminder, we're going to talk about Raw segment by segment. We're going to power through that. After that, what are we going to do first? Are we going to do the good, the bad, and the fugly, or are we going to do our Battleground predictions?
We'll do our Battleground predictions, and then we'll hit them with the award-winning segment.
Boom. All right. So Raw was live in Atlanta, Georgia. This was July the 13th, 2015, and the show basically opens with a Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman segment. Paul Heyman says that the Beast of Battleground is going to make Seth pay for his sins, and then he predicts, of course, that Brock will walk in as a challenger and come out as a champion, something that doesn't happen very often. Excuse me, no, something that doesn't happen very often, but when he does walk in a challenger, he almost always walks out the champion. Let's see. Rollins comes out, and he appears on the stage with Kane and calls Brock a coward for taking out his anger on the inanimate object, directly referencing when Brock demolished that Cadillac. He says he's the real champion, and Brock is nothing but a thug and a criminal. He said he's going to burn Suplex City to the ground. All of these things that we've heard before. And Brock basically takes the mic from Paul Heyman and tells him that I can take you to Suplex City tonight, bitch. And the crowd goes crazy. Kane interjects. He announces there's going to be a contract signing for their match at Battleground later on in the night, and that Heyman says that Brock will come to the signing with peace. Oh, so long as everybody remains civil. And then Heyman says that Brock will come to the signing with peace, love, and understanding in his heart, but warns Kane that if Rollins specifically violates the 11th commandment, which is again intentionally provoking the beast, Suplex City will arrive 6 days early in Atlanta, Georgia. Now that we ran through what was said, Papa, what was your take on this opening segment?
It was just a basic rehash of last week, dude. For real. I wanted to see more action, but again, there's never a dull contract signing. So I was actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. It's pretty much the exact same segment, except at the end it was like, hey, we're going to have a contract signing. It was like exactly what happened as last week. What do you want to talk about first? Rollins and Kane backstage talking about this contract signing, or do you want to talk about the opening match first? Your choice.
Let's go with the opening match.
So the opening match is Ryback and Orton versus the team of Sheamus and Big Show with Miz on commentary. Before we get into the actual end of the match, Papa, what did you think about this match?
Well, honestly, this match had potential to be awesome. Just awesome. Except for one element would destroy the whole match. Big Show. Or I should say a big element. But again, I mean, with these four in the ring, they had a chance to start to show off so strong. But it just like it fell real flat and it just didn't hold my attention. I mean, the only part that actually really held my attention was Miz on commentary, which again was another rehash of last week. But again, they had all the potential to start to show off really, really strong.
So basically, with Miz doing exactly what he did last week, which is interrupting, getting on the mic, and basically egging on both Ryback and Big Show, what happens is that Big Show basically runs Miz out of the arena, or at least up the ramp, and then Orton hits Sheamus with the RKO, and then Ryback does his, would you call it the flyback?
He's too big to be jumping off the top rope.
The big guy splash. We got to come up with a name for this thing. It's too good. He does it. He jumps off the top rope, splash, and covers Sheamus for the win. Backstage immediately after this, Rollins and Kane talk about the upcoming contract signing, and Kane promises Rollins that he's basically taken precautions and that he has a plan, and that basically things are not going to go sour for Rollins at the contract signing. And what's happening again is that, Papo, I want to ask you this because they were building up this tension between the two, right? They don't like each other, they don't trust each other, and then that was corrected 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they're almost at each other's throats again. Is this one step forward, two steps back? Is this bad writing? What is this?
I'm not going to say it's bad writing, but it is one step forward, two steps back. I figure there's going to be a build-up between these two because the crowd loves it. They need to have a match with Kane versus Rollins with no authority, just these two just going at it.
Yeah. Do you think that may well, you know what, I don't want to get into that because that kind of dives in and delves into our predictions for Battleground. So let's save that discussion for a later day. Um, let's talk about this Ambrose versus Wyatt match.
What match? I don't remember an Ambrose versus Wyatt match. What the hell are you talking about?
Exactly. So basically, we're about to see Ambrose versus Wyatt, which made me sad. Right, my heart fell into the pit of my stomach because for like a solid 3 months, I watched Bray Wyatt beat Ambrose like 15 times in a row, and I really didn't want to see Ambrose versus Wyatt again. And what happens here is that Ambrose comes down to the ring first, big pop, everybody's excited for Ambrose, and then Wyatt comes down to the ring, and then as soon as the light comes back up, you just see Roman Reigns just run it up behind Wyatt, and he basically kicks the shit out of Bray Wyatt.
Super Uso!
So a couple of quick things here, right? Let's talk about what I didn't like, and then we can talk about what I liked. Sounds fair? In fact, you know what? Was there anything about it, before I give my 2 cents, was there anything about it that you did not like?
No. Go ahead. Take the Roman Reigns on this one.
Oh, I see what you did. So here's how I felt about it, right? I loved everything about it. First off, because not actually having Wyatt versus Ambrose kind of helps both guys, right? Because if Ambrose loses to Wyatt, at this point, this kind of hurts Ambrose's momentum, right? And if Wyatt loses to Ambrose, that kind of hurts Wyatt's momentum moving forward to his match against Reigns. Because I'd say Ambrose has a particular match, but I don't think he's even scheduled for Battleground. Did you see him in the match listings?
No, I did not.
Fucking shame. So either way, either man is going to be hurt by losing in this match. And that the fact that the match didn't happen was very smart, so that way they could have a match but then write themselves out of it immediately. You're about to say something?
No.
Okay. Here's what I didn't like. They have the fight, and then at one point, Wyatt, at the very end of their fight, Wyatt hits Reigns in the face with the lantern. And it's not that the lantern didn't break that I had a problem. It's that Super Uso, Reigns, basically doesn't sell it, right? He makes it look like it didn't. He doesn't even register that it hit him in the face. And Wyatt doesn't even immediately run away either. So you have Wyatt, who's just outside the ring, and Reigns, who's just inside the ring, and they're just kind of looking at each other. And I don't know about you, but that looked really fucking stupid to me.
It was very sloppy, and I noticed that spot also.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about that segment, or can we keep it rolling right into the probably one of, if not tied for the best thing on this show?
The Divas. Let's get balls deep in the Diva.
Dude, can we get balls deep in all 9 of them? Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, maybe all 8. Let's not count Tamina Snuka. Sorry.
I'd kick her ass.
I don't know. Her father's a murderer. She might be able to kill you. By the way, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't? Oh, Google Jimmy Snuka murder girlfriend. He basically beat his girlfriend to death like 40 years ago, and then McMahon paid his way out of it, and now New York State has just recently reopened the case. And like the medical examiner was like, yeah, this woman was beat to death, and he's like, she fell out of my car. I don't know what happened. Very crazy. Allegedly beat this woman to death. So Team Bella comes out. So it's Brie Bella, Nikki Bella, and Alicia Fox. And they come out and remind us that on November 23rd, 2014, Nikki Bella defeated AJ Lee to become Divas champion, and she's been champion for the past 232 days. and she's basically defended against every single diva on the roster and not taken a single shortcut. Basically, yeah, she's defended against every diva except for Natty, right? I mean, do you remember her having a match with Natty?
Like, not that I recall.
So she's basically doing that heel thing where she lies. By the way, the Bellas are heel again? What is this? Every other week they're heel face, heel face. Does this bother you? Because it bothers the shit out of me.
And they're heels. No matter what you look at, their heels.
Bitches be crazy? Is that what we're dealing with?
Hashtag WWE Divas Bitches Be Crazy.
So basically, and this is where I got bothered at first, right? Because Bella's come out and they cut a promo, and how often is it that we get a diva promo on Raw?
Not very often.
Not very often. So one diva gets to cut a promo, but then of course Stephanie McMahon has to come out, and she also gets to cut a promo. So up until this point, I was kind of annoyed, right? Because it's just like, oh my God, you have to stick your fucking big clitoris and everything else that happens in the Divas division. However, something incredible happens that made me take it back. So Stephanie has Paige join them in the ring, and she's talking about other women that have worked hard and scratched and clawed and bit and fucked and done everything they can to be. My phone stopped charging. What's going on here? To be in the WWE as divas. And what happens here is, sorry.
Focus.
Sorry, I'm just having phone issues. I don't want it to dial me mid-show. So basically what happens here is she calls out NXT diva Becky Lynch. Papo, have you seen Becky Lynch in action?
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't sat through a whole match, but I have seen each one of those divas at NXT.
Okay. So Becky Lynch comes out, and it's like, oh shit, Becky Lynch comes out. But then Charlotte Flair comes out. The Nature Boys oldest daughter. Hey man, if you're gonna do it with Flair, right? So then it seems like you're gonna get a 3-on-3 6-woman tag, right, at Battleground. But then Naomi interrupts, and she's like, bitch, I want an opponent. I'm better than all these bitches. I was NXT too, bitch. And Stephanie's like, you know what? You're right. But there's another person from NXT that's kind of like you. And then out comes my favorite NXT diva, Sasha Banks. Are you familiar with Sasha Banks, Papo?
Yes, I am.
Did you know that she's the first cousin of Snoop Doggy Dizzle?
No, I didn't.
Well, now you do.
That's really Kizu.
Knowing is half the battle. So then there's 9 of them. Oh yeah, that's right, because Naomi comes out with Tamina. So then there's 9 of them in the ring. So there's Team Bella, Team NXT, and then Team Naomi with Sasha Banks. And it looks like things are shaping up for a 9-woman triple threat tag match for Battleground. And what happens is basically shortly thereafter, all hell breaks loose. And at the end, all 3 NXT divas, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair, who all have wicked submission holds, are basically making main roster divas tap out. And they're looking really, really strong. And the place is going nuts chanting NXT. And this is great, right? Because now we have a reason to care. Papo, before I get into what I thought about this, let me know what was your takeaway on this? How'd you feel? What did this what sort of feelings did this conjure up within you and inside your pants?
Well, my pants ultimately got tighter as they called in each NXT and Naomi coming out and all the divas in the ring together, and then just pure diva chaos ensued, and it was amazing. It was, again, amazing. Watching these NXT divas step it up and actually making these WWE divas tap on a promo was just fucking awesome. That's all I got to say about that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to mute myself so you can come through in the video because you're not being seen that much and it's just not keeping up with me very well. And I'm kind of drunk. Spoiler alert. I loved it, right? Because they've slowly been working at trying to revamp the Divas division, right? And it's started in segments, right? The first thing that they've done is they've started to give the Divas a little bit more time. And now with three NXT Divas seemingly coming up to the main roster, we're given a reason to care, right? And that's good because giving them more time isn't just enough. We have to be invested. So, do you think these are positive steps in turning around the perception of women's wrestling in the main WWE shows?
Only time will tell. Let's see what ensues.
Well, speaking of what ensues, how about let's talk about the New Day versus the Primetime Players and Mark Henry. It's the all-black man WWE Open. Apparently, they just let's throw all our black guys in one match. What did you think about
Black
that?
on black crime.
Is that racist or is that just my white guilt? What is that?
That's your white guilt. I mean, a
Motherfucker.
match is just a match. I mean, granted, it was. I mean, it was a six-man tag. All of them being black got nothing to do with them being black. It got to do with the tag team titles.
Racist.
And they just threw in Mark Henry just to throw in Mark Henry. So.
Mark Henry is clearly a Samoan. So, Mark Henry picks up the win for his team by pinning Xavier Woods after a World's Strongest Slam. You know who I missed who would have been a better fit here? Even if he wasn't involved in the match per se?
Who?
Bo motherfucking Dallas.
Yeah, he does fit in with the new gay. I mean, the New Day.
Well, he can be the guy that just is the outsider of the group, right? Like he just exists on the fringe and wants to be accepted so bad because they're kind of both about the same thing. And he can spend all of his time saying, "No, guys, I'm just like you because you believe," and they kind of ostracize him just a little bit. I think that would be really fun. Let's talk about something worse because it seems like it's getting worse and worse before it gets better. King Barrett versus R-Truth. Do you want to talk about this match at all?
Really quick, Truth gets the win. He puts on his junkyard royalty get up and leaves the ring. All right,
Yeah,
next match.
that's that. So then we have the U.S. Open, John Cena U.S. Open Challenge. And this is great because John Cena comes out. He's like, the time for the U.S. Open Challenge is now. And Rusev comes out with Hot Summer. She's going to be Hot Summer forever, by the way, now. And Rusev cuts a promo and gets in the ring. And then Kevin Owens comes out. He cuts a promo and gets in the ring. And then he basically says that since he'll give Cena his title loss now, and then he'll give him the rematch at Battleground. But then Rusev was like, I'm here first. And they argue over who gets to face Cena. And fucking Cesaro comes out. And all three get in the ring, and basically all three challengers to one title. Now, if you haven't heard this terrible joke before, stop me. So an American, a Bulgarian, a Canadian, and a Swede all walk into a wrestling ring. No? Just a terrible joke?
Never heard of it. Keep going. Wait for the punchline.
Well, then we go to then there's a commercial, and then they have a match. And it doesn't matter because John Cena wins. That's the most depressing punchline ever. So basically we go to... It's terrible. It's a terrible attempt at a joke. I'm sorry to our one viewer out there. I'm sorry. Basically what happens is after the commercial break, it's said that the authorities said during the commercial break that the three of them will face each other, and then the winner will face John Cena for his U.S. Open Challenge this evening. So then we get a fucking amazeballs match. Owens versus Rusev versus Cesaro.
Triple threat.
Dude, killer triple threat. I'm going to talk about the reasons why I think it was a great triple threat. But Papo, why don't you tell us what you thought about this match, and then we'll get into the finish and what came after.
Well, this triple threat match was the match for the night. It provided all the elements. Rusev is no ring rust whatsoever, no missed spots. So it had my attention off the get-go. We had Rusev on top level. I mean, he was ultimately selling everything perfectly, executing every move perfectly. We had Cesaro flipping the script on everybody. The spots that stuck out to me the most was the power bomb belly to back suplex off the top rope, where he initially jumped, twisted, and pulled Rusev, who was giving a belly to back suplex to Owens, and it was amazing. Second spot was the triple belly to back, where Cesaro belly to back. Who was it? Rusev, and Rusev did Owens. It was just, or was it the other way around?
I think Cesaro did it to Owens, and then Owens did it to Rusev.
Yes.
So like Rusev got Owens, and then Owens reversed it, and then Rusev blocked it, and then Cesaro came in behind Owens, and they did. It was beautiful.
It was a perfect display of Cesaro being pound for pound the strongest wrestler in the WWE.
The Swiss Superman, if you will.
If you will. And what actually annoyed me about this match was that Owens actually got up and left the match, leaving Rusev and Cesaro in the match to finish up, in which they did finish strong. I'm loving now where Cesaro is actually doing the big spin, stopping, and then putting on a sharpshooter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works too, right? Because in theory, you do the big spin, and when you think about it, you're disorienting the other person by making all the blood rush to their head. Kind of like when you have like a delayed vertical suplex. So you're making them dizzy, and all the blood's rushing to their head because of centrifugal force and all that good shit.
Centrifugal force.
Yeah, and then they're while they're trying to mentally and physically recover from that, you put them right in the sharpshooter and just put all the pressure on their lower spine. I think it's amazing. Do you want to talk about the fact that they, despite all the awesome things that they did, to me, the best thing about it is they didn't follow your typical triple threat match formula, which is one guy gets knocked out and ends up on the outside, and then basically it rotates, and there always ends up at any given time one guy outside and two guys in the ring. Whereas in this match, everybody was in the ring the whole time.
This new formula is something to look forward to in the future with WWE.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, that could have been a match at Battleground. That could have been a pay-per-view match. That thing was dope.
For real. One spot that got me really good, which showed like a perfect combination of a triple threat move, is where Owens did the code breaker on Cesaro, and while landing the senton on top of Rusev.
It was so cool. Right? I mean, those guys are just too good.
He heard them both at the same time.
They're just too good. I could talk about this match all day, right? And I'm pretty sure you could too. So what I want to do is I want to touch on what you just said and then kind of move on because we still have a little bit to go for. Sounds fair?
Fair.
All right. So as Papo said, what happens is at one point, just a little bit past the halfway point, Owen says, you know what, fuck it, I'm out of here. I get my match at Battleground anyway. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Excuse me. So, and then shortly after that, Rusev just super kicks the shit out of Cesaro, although it kind of looked like it missed and he hit him in the upper chest. But Rusev wins with a super kick. And let's see, I had one other. No, I didn't have any more notes on that. Okay, so then immediately after that, John Cena gets up. By the way, if we didn't mention this, John Cena was on commentary the whole time. And it was boring as fuck. Agreed?
Agreed.
So basically we get to the actual Rusev versus Cena match. And it's not that much of a match because Rusev's pretty much weakened for this match. And it's a fresh Cena versus an exhausted Rusev. I'll tell you what I didn't like. I want to get your opinion on this. So every time Cena knocked Rusev down, he did this gesture where he was like motioning, like waiting, like being a good sport for Rusev to get to his feet. And then like he would signal for the ref, I want him to get to his feet. But then he wouldn't let him get to his feet, and he would just start attacking the shit out of him. Did you see that too, or am I just overanalyzing things?
No, I saw it also. I mean, I think this was a poor match on Cena's part. I mean, he tried to show off like he was a good sportsman, but initially he was a dick.
Yeah, it just didn't come across that way. On top of that, what did you think about the fact that that match was immediately afterwards and not like later on in the show? Instead of
They
like,
should have given.
I'm sorry, go
They should
ahead.
have given. They should have given Rusev at least a couple minutes to rest.
Yeah, or maybe like had another match planned, and then after that match, then you get the Rusev Cena match. It just seemed kind of, and I don't want to say unfair to Rusev, but at the same time, if he's the villain, you don't want any sympathy. You don't want any sympathy to be engendered towards the villain, right? You want to hate the villain and you want to fucking spit on them because they're evil people. So when you do things to make you feel bad for the villain, that's kind of counterproductive to the procedure.
Touche.
So basically, in the end, Rusev has Cena in the Accolade, and this is normally where I would be concerned, but we've seen Rusev lose to Cena 3-1, and that the Accolade basically does nothing to Cena anymore, and basically what happens is that Kevin runs in, attacking Rusev, costing him the match, and then Owens hit Rusev with a pop-up powerbomb, and I believe he just leaves. Or does Cena do something?
No, it just leaves.
Just leaves. After this, we see Rollins and Kane bump into each other backstage, and that Rollins tells Kane basically that if Kane's plan doesn't work, referring to the plan that he set forward to make sure that things go his way at the contract signing, that if it doesn't go his work, it'll be Kane's fault. And then we get Tough Enough coach Lita introduces us to the cast of Tough Enough. Did you find this interesting? I felt the same way. So let's talk about what came right after that, which is it's a backstage promo by Stardust. And this promo was really good. Papo, is it just me, or did it seem like Stardust has been watching a bunch of Bray Wyatt promos?
Yo, he has Bayou envy all over him. Trying to be a villain. Or should we should call him the ass of fear?
That's not nice. How dare you? That's not nice. Don't say such things about Cody. I mean Stardust. Excuse me, Stardust. So then we get. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, after the promo, they go to introduce the match, and they have such an intro to this. Really caught my attention. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was so comic book-esque, showing Neville being the hero and Stardust being the villain. But they were shown on TV as comic book characters. They were drawn out, but it was them, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, man, it's super fucking cool. I've always thought, even as a little kid, and maybe I didn't realize it consciously, but what? Huh? Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I've always thought that. Hold on for a second.
Well, while he's getting us, hold on for a second. It was, again, a comic book match, if you will, where we have Stardust, the villain, and Neville being the hero.
How's that? Is it better?
A whole lot better.
Sorry, we got a bunch of yapping guests. Where was I? Yeah, so I loved it, right? Because even as a kid, whether I realized it consciously or not, wrestling, at least as the WWF/WWE presents it, is very much comic book centric in the fact that there are very over-the-top, charismatic characters. There's good guys, there's bad guys, right? There's a clear-cut, heroes and villains, and they're very big and larger than life. And I felt that those comic book drawings was a very good way to kind of show that, like, yeah, no, we're still nodding to that. It's still very much excuse me, too much for Loco. It's still very much a thing that's recognized in the world of professional wrestling. That's what it is, because it's a morality play. In the end, it's good guys and bad guys. Is Stardust an appropriate villain for Neville?
Yes. I'm in total agreement that is.
So let's talk about this match. What did you think about Neville versus Stardust?
Very dynamic. They put on an awesome show. I did not see any missed spots. And again, they played to the comic book esque feel to the whole match, where Neville being the face, the hero, and Stardust being the villain, the heel.
What did you Would you like to see this match again? Like, would you continue watching something like this?
I would watch it a few more times, but if they go ahead and they should change it up and not make it stagnant. I would say make it evolve.
Okay. Okay. So a couple of last questions, and then we'll move on, because right after this is actually the main event segment, with this being the main event match. With the recent death of Dusty Rhodes, and with them openly admitting that Stardust is Cody Rhodes, and with them being in Atlanta, Georgia, which, if I'm not mistaken, is where Cody Rhodes is from, was this a mistake to not separate Stardust from Cody Rhodes? Like, was it a mistake to not bring Cody Rhodes back and maybe do something significant with him in his hometown, with recent events and his father's passing being what it was?
Well, again, they did the segment for Dusty Rhodes on the network, so I mean, right now it's time to let Dusty Rhodes rest in peace. And again, Cody Rhodes / Stardust still has to make a paycheck. He still has a family to provide for, so he still can maintain that persona and deal with his own demons by himself.
So then, let me rephrase the question then. Do you think it's a mistake for Cody Rhodes to continue as Stardust, or could Cody Rhodes still function as an appropriate villain for Neville as Cody Rhodes and not Stardust? Should he drop the Stardust gimmick?
No, he should not. Right now, he's getting over as Stardust.
Is he getting over, though?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Maybe I'm not seeing it. I don't know. I'm just worried because I've thought for a long time that Cody Rhodes is one of those guys who's so criminally underrated, who could be a world champion. I really believe that Cody could be a world champion. He's that fucking good. But he's one of those guys that I don't think they realize how good he is. I mean, is it fair to say that? Because he's fucking incredible.
He's good. But again, I would say that he still needs to get a couple more wins under his belt. He still needs to grow as his character before he can actually hold on to that gold.
You mean like to grow as Cody Rhodes or to grow as Stardust?
To grow all around. Cody Rhodes, Stardust, wrestling, his mic skills. He still needs, if you will.
So basically, he still needs a little bit of polish. He needs to smooth out those rough edges. All right, so what happens in the end is that Stardust wins by reversing a roll-up and grabs the tights. Are you okay with this type of win for Stardust?
Yes, I am, because it shows his heel character being really strong, and it shows Neville disappointed with the loss, but still maintaining his face status.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because Neville didn't lose clean, right? Like, even though he lost because Stardust cheated, and that's a big difference between losing clean or losing because a heel did something dastardly.
All they need is a crescendo.
Crescendo. All right, so now we have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship title match contract signing. Whew, it's a lot to say. So basically, there's a lot of words made here, and I'm going to make quick work of this because we still have to talk about the good, the bad, and the fugly, and then we still have to give our predictions, which, if I'm not mistaken, we're doing good, the bad, and the fugly, then our predictions for Battleground, correct?
Incorrect. Other way around.
So Battleground, then our good, bad, and fugly.
Correct.
Okay. Quickly before we do that, one last thing. I'm just going to quickly plug a number of things again. If you really do enjoy, if you've made it this far, congrats. Thank you. I really appreciate your joining us and being a part of the discussion. Go ahead and click the like button, subscribe, comment, share the video. Right? Tell your friends, hey man, here's a video about two wrestling nerds talking about wrestling that you might like, and you might be able to join the conversation in a later date. Also, go to the Facebook page. We usually have something going on, and if not, you could say something. spur on a conversation. You can tweet us at tedandpapo@gmail.com. You can send us your, excuse me, you can tweet us at Ted and Papo. You can send us your emails at tedandpapo@gmail.com. You can go to our patreon.com/Ted and Papo page where you can consider making a donation. Any of those things you'd like to do are always put each and every week in the description box below, so consider checking them out, right? You don't have to donate, but just consider it, take a look, and see if it's worth your time maybe later, maybe if you do have a dollar to spend down the road. Now, let's talk about this contract signing, shall we?
Let's.
So, a lot of words are spoken here, right? Rollins speaks words, Heyman speaks words, and Brock signs the contract, Rollins signs the contract, and then basically, I'm not quite sure what Rollins does. Maybe he just starts mean-mugging Brock a little too hard, and then Brock flips the table over and then finds an axe handle strategically hidden under the table. So would it be correct to assume that this was Kane's master plan?
That's a safe assumption. You're not making an ass out of anybody, so.
So, stupid question. Is an axe handle enough to beat the beast?
I'm going to say no, but it may be a factor in taking him out.
So like maybe
a
if
small
there was
factor.
so maybe if there was like 3 or 4 of them, not just like 1 or 2.
Right.
So Brock Lesnar, the fucking eternal badass that he is, he flips over the table, he finds the axe handle, he flips the table back over ever so casually, and then just quietly sits down and places the axe handle on the table, but specifically on Seth Rollins' side of the table. How badass was this? That Brock Lesnar was basically communicating to Rollins that he didn't give a fuck and he isn't scared in the least.
I'm going to go ahead and say that was stone cold of Brock Lesnar.
You mean like Steve Austin-esque?
I'm just using that stone cold, how cool he was, just to go ahead and put that axe handle down in front of him, sit down, and then look him in the eye.
like bitch, I don't sweat you.
For real.
that was great.
For reals. With
For
a
reals. So Rollins grabs it and just kind of does that thing where he like kind of grabs it and like steps away for a second, and then he eventually takes the bait by grabbing it, because the way I interpret it is that Brock isn't going to be fooled, right? Brock might not be a mathematician and he might not be a mental astronaut, but one thing he's not is stupid, and he's got the street smarts to know if someone's hiding a weapon. And he gets the weapon, he presents the weapon to Rollins like, I don't give a fuck, bitch. You can use that weapon. I'm still taking your ass to Suplex City. That's a thing that's happening. And I don't sweat you, punk. And then he does so, and then it's almost as if Rollins takes the bait, and it's Rollins and Kane, and they have a little bit of an advantage. They have a small numbers game advantage over Brock, and that ends rather quickly when Brock F5s Kane onto the floor, and Rollins runs away like a bitch. And then Brock proceeds to use the steel steps to crush Kane's right. Was it his ankle or his foot? I couldn't quite make out which one it was.
Same difference right now. He
Same
crushed
difference.
the shit out of it.
Was it weird that Kane sold his shin and not his foot/ankle?
I didn't notice that.
I did.
I was too busy laughing.
So he crushes it with the steel steps and then gets in the ring and holds the title high for all to see, and then leaves, right? Like, I'm a badass. I don't give a fuck. Rollins comes back and cuts a promo in the ring about he will be the man to slay the beast. And then he basically turns on Kane, right? He walks over to Kane as he's being treated by medical personnel, and he's like, God damn it, Kane, you were supposed to have my back. We were bros, and you were supposed to have this plan. That was your whole plan. You suck. And then he starts to stomp on Kane's injured leg/foot. It's kind of interesting, right? Because him and Brock in this scene do the same thing, right? Brock injures Kane's leg. We all love it because we hate Kane and we love Brock in the context. And then Rollins does the same thing to Kane, and we hate Rollins for it because, man, what a dick. What are your thoughts on this whole segment, and was this worthy of something to end the night?
Well, I want to see how this twist with the storyline, especially with the pay-per-view coming on this Sunday. So let's see what help that Seth has to retain the belt.
Oh shit! Spoiler alert: we haven't even gotten our predictions yet. And Papo, I don't know if you know this. I'm kind of drunk. Which one were we doing again? Good and the Bad and the Fugly, or predictions first?
Predictions first.
you probably told me like 3 times already.
It was 3 times. Exactly.
Good. I can make numbers. I'm good at math. So here's what we're gonna have. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna talk about WWE Battleground very quickly, very shortly. We're gonna give our predictions for the matches that were currently listed at the time that I made this outline. There may be a few matches added to it after the fact, but at the time that I created the notes here, these are the matches involved. And then afterwards, we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the fugly. So, Papo. Pre-show match, Barrett versus R-Truth. Who you got? Who goes over? What's going on?
Right now, it's 2. If it was a 2 out of 3, right now R-Truth would be up. So I'm gonna go with R-Truth.
All right, I think I'm gonna have to go with Barrett here because R-Truth got the win right on the go-home show before the pay-per-view. Plus, it just feels like it's really annoying because they make Barrett the Intercontinental Champion and then he loses to everyone. And then they make him the King of the Ring, and then he loses to everyone. And I just think he desperately needs a win. I'm going to go with Barrett. And I don't know what particular order these are going to be in, so I just put them in the order that I think that they're going to be in. So Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt.
I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. Just because of that lantern scene at the end.
Man, I don't know. I expect this to be like a 2-3 pay-per-view scenario. Oh man, I don't know. I mean, Roman Reigns looked the strongest at the end, so I'm tempted to say he loses just because that's how WWE does. I'm going to be contrarian. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But Wyatt came out on top by hitting Roman Reigns with the lantern.
Did he though? Because Roman Reigns kind of no-sold the lantern like Ultimate Warrior style. All right, I'm gonna be contrarian, and I'm gonna say you say Roman Reigns, right?
Right.
I'm gonna say Bray Wyatt. We're gonna split the difference on that one. Intercontinental title match. Ryback triple threat. Ryback versus Big Show versus Miz. Who you got? Who goes over?
I got Miz going over.
See, I got Ryback going over. I feel like Ryback needs to retain. It's still early in his IC title run. Maybe retain a little bit longer and then lose next month. And the one match that nobody really gives a fuck about at all because there's absolutely no story here, Randy Orton versus Sheamus. Who you got?
Randy Orton.
I'm going to go with Randy Orton, too. Is it because that the Money in the Bank winner never has to win? Have you noticed that, by the way? Like, whoever wins the Money in the Bank proceeds to lose consistently until the cash-in?
I saw that pattern also.
Okay, good. Prime Time Players, tag team title match versus the New Day. I'm going to assume this is Big E and Kofi, with Xavier Woods being the hype man. Which, by the way, how great is Xavier Woods as a hype man?
He's actually pretty awesome as a hype man.
Dude, he's incredible. So who you got winning this match?
I got the New Day.
You got New Day winning? Oh man, I really want the New Day to win, but I'm gonna have to go unless New Day has unless Bo Dallas intervenes. I'm gonna go with Primetime Players retain on this one. Maybe they hold it just a tad longer. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to change my mind because some title has to change here. I'm going to say New Day also. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put in here in the notes the U.S. title match. Kevin Owens versus John Cena.
I'm going to go with Owens in that one.
I am in complete agreement with you. I think it's time for Owens. Cena's time is up. Owens' time is now. See what I did there? No? Okay. So now we move on to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship title match. Rollins versus Brock. Who you got? Who's going over?
I'm going with Rollins. Rollins retains.
Oh man, I really want to see Brock win, but I'm with you here. I think Rollins retains. And does that? I mean, we don't have a Divas match announced yet. I assume that there will be maybe a Divas Battle Royal. But until then, you know what, Papa? I think that's it for the Battleground matches and predictions. And it's time to move on to what is allegedly an award-winning segment: the good, the bad, and the fugly.
Okay. So you want to go first with this one?
I haven't quite decided yet. Do you want to go first? Because if not, I'll make it up as I go.
Okay. Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
So my good was the triple threat match for the number one contender spot for the U.S. title. That the whole triple threat match was amazing. My match of the night and my good. My bad was the Dean Ambrose Bret Wyatt match, just for the simple fact that there was no match. That annoyed the crap out of me. And then my bad was the R-Truth match when he got out the ring and put on the Junkyard Dog get up, the Royal Junkyard Dog, if you will.
If you will.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, normally this is something easy, right? Because normally Raw is not that good. Ever since we started doing this segment, 9 times out of 10, Raw kind of sucks, and it's easy for me to pick a bad and a fugly. This week, man, Raw was pretty fucking good. It's very hard for me to do this, so I'm going to do this on the fly. Now, you said your triple threat match was your good, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to pick something that's just behind, if not on the same level. I'm going to pick that entire NXT Divas segment where just we have NXT Divas coming up to the main roster, and we're finally given a reason to give a shit about the Divas. So I'm going to say that's my good. My bad, man, I'm very tempted to say that my bad is the man, this is really rough. I'm going to say my bad was King Barrett versus R-Truth. Just because I really didn't give a shit, and I'm so tired of this feud. Just because King Barrett is a guy who, and I like R-Truth. Don't get me wrong, I really do like R-Truth. But it's clear that R-Truth is about to retire, according to the rumors. And King Barrett, Wade Barrett is awesome. I've liked Wade Barrett for a long time, but the WWE, I don't think, knows what a good thing that they have in him. Maybe it's because he's injury prone. I don't know. So I'm going to say that's my bad. Like, that whole match and feud, terrible, awful. It's like the Junkyard Dog Harley Race rehash, but it's like an infinitely worse version of it. Now, my fugly. This is going to come as a surprise because this wasn't something that was that bad, but I just have to have a fugly. I'm going to say Lita showing up on Raw just to introduce us to the cast of Tough Enough, because I love me some Lita, but I don't love me some Lita if she's just here to introduce us to some reality show motherfuckers. And I think that's all I got to say about that. Papa, what do you think?
Well, I thought today's show was awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in. Actually, next week we'll not be here. Congratulations to my boy Tedski, proud father to be. And as soon as possible, we'll get back on the show for you guys.
Yeah, and I think what will happen is in 2 weeks' time, what we'll do is that we'll, instead of giving a full review of the pay-per-view, maybe we'll just give a quick 5-minute segment, talk about our overall feelings, whether it met our expectations, exceeded them, or did not. So yeah, that's it. I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, go to the Facebook page, tweet us on Twitter at Ted and Papo, send us an email at tedandpapo@gmail.com, and don't be lazy, motherfuckers. I did all the legwork for you. It's in the description box below. I'm about to be a daddy. We're not going to be here next week. I'll let you know if it comes out with a penis or a vagina or both. Who knows? Thank you for tuning in. My name is Ted. That is Papa. We are the fuck out of here.